Zero Hedge wrote this on X this weekend, that the Bureau of Labor Statistics will, quote, downward revise jobs for the April 2023 through March 2024 period by up to 1 million. On Wednesday. We're expecting this to happen on Wednesday. This means that all beats recorded in the past year, beats on jobs, will have actually been misses. And the job market is in far worse shape than the administration would admit. I mean, Mark Tepper, I know this is no surprise to you, but isn't this amazing that we're going to see all of these revisions on Wednesday, according to Zero Hedge? And that basically puts in question all of these quote-unquote beats and better than expected numbers on jobs this last year.
It's wild because not only are they expected to reduce jobs by 1 million jobs on Wednesday, but I think like 10 out of the last 12 months, they revised the prior month lower when actually nobody was actually paying attention anymore, right? I mean, that's kind of what they've been doing. But when you look at the job situation, you know, I mean, we've been talking for several months now about how all the jobs added have been part-time jobs, while losing full-time jobs. Multiple job holders are at an all-time high. All these things are negatively impacting the employment situation. So, Matt, I want to get your take on maybe what's going on there with regards to the labor market, but also how that can affect consumption going forward.
Yeah, you know, Mark, it's a good point. When you look at all of these revisions, it doesn't give the average consumer a lot of confidence in what we're seeing. And I think that's one of the reasons why consumer sentiment is still so depressed. But
let's bring in Steve Leisman on the phone from Jackson Hole with some reaction to those job revisions. Steve, market initially took it as fairly dovish. Historically, though, it is a pretty good big revision, right?
Yeah, you got to go back to 2009 to find a bigger downward revision here. It looked like in 2009 they went down by what's the number here? Minus 824. So that's slightly smaller than that. That, of course, was a time when the economy was in free fall. It's not, when you parse it out over the 12-month period. Again, this is the 12 months ending in March 2024. So it's a little unclear what it means, how relevant it is for today's jobs numbers. But it comes up to 68,000. So essentially what we were doing, instead of doing 250 average, we were doing, say, 185 to 200,000 in that zone. It depends a little bit, Carl. They'll parse it out over the months in February. This is the total for the year ending March 2024. Jobless claims have been running relatively low. Remember, this is a process by which they true up the payroll report to the actual jobless claims numbers, so or the jobless unemployment benefits that are being paid. There is a question, Carl, that's interesting from a Goldman Sachs report about how they're counting immigrants here and unauthorized immigrants and whether they should or should not be counted in the payroll. So Goldman Sachs takes a much more benign view of this revision, saying they're throwing people off of payrolls who actually were on the payrolls. I guess that's a debate for another day. Net, I think that when you see that the payrolls have been revised down, they were slightly less hot than they were. It's somewhat dovish, but I'm not sure how much signal to take from this. It's a big number. I think it'll be played politically by both sides a little bit, or certainly by the Republican side, suggesting there was more weakness in the jobs market. But
so I have this article here, some breaking news from the Washington Examiner. Job growth set to be revised down by 818,000 jobs. Okay, so let's check it out real quick, and then I got a response from Donald Trump that he just put out in a Truth Social post. The government figures for job growth over the past year are set to be significantly revised down, the Bureau of Labor Statistics reported on Wednesday. The agency said total employment growth through March of this year is set to be revised down by 818,000. That is a 0.5% of total jobs, a larger revision than normal. By comparison, total job growth over that period was 2.9 million, according to the establishment survey, meaning that nearly a third of the jobs gains are set to be erased. The weaker numbers are a setback for President Joe Biden and Vice President Democratic presidential nominee Kamala Harris, who have touted the job gains of recent years. Still, even the revision's job growth has been strong by historical norms. Pre-revisions, the economy added 242,000 jobs a month for the year ending in March, and with the revisions, the number would be 174,000. That's likely enough to keep the unemployment rate trending down, which is a good thing for Americans as long as it's really Americans that are getting those jobs, right? But the new data from the Comprehensive Quarterly Census of Employment and Wages shows that job growth ran slower than reported in the Establishment Survey published every month as part of the Bureau of Labor Statistics job reporting. We got this little graph here is 242 in the Establishment Survey, and the revision is 174, and that's monthly jobs gain, and that's monthly job gains for the year throughout March 2024. So, makes me wonder if any of that is true. The revisions, which are part of the agency's routine process for updating its estimates of job growth, are preliminary. The final revisions will be made with the jobs reported for January of next year. The BLF re-benchmarks its payroll employment numbers, which are based on a monthly survey of establishments, to a comprehensive count of jobs, a process that can result in major revisions. That comprehensive count, the BLS's Quarterly Census of Employment and Wages, is a quarterly assessment of employment and wages reported by employers covering more than 95% of jobs. The revisions bring the job growth numbers closer in line with the estimates from the separate household survey included in the monthly jobs report, which has shown slower employment gains than the establishment survey. Still, it is possible that the household survey is understating underlying growth, and the same is true in the QCEW. One reason that might be the case is that it's less likely to capture the employment of unauthorized immigrants. A recent analysis from the Congressional Budget Office, which incorporated data from the Department of Homeland Security regarding the numbers of people crossing the border without authorization, found that the influx of illegal immigrants over the past few years has resulted in faster population growth and higher employment than reported by the BLS. Goldman Sachs economists noted in a recent commentary that the QCEW is based on comprehensive unemployment insurance records, but unauthorized immigrants generally don't qualify for unemployment benefits. Generally, right? And then we have this over here, which brings us to this post over here on Truth Social from Donald Trump. Massive scandal. The Harris-Biden administration has been caught fraudulently manipulating job statistics to hide the true extent of the economic ruin they have inflicted upon America. New data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics shows that the administration padded numbers with an extra 818,000 jobs that do not exist and never did. The real numbers are much worse than that, and if Comrade Kamala gets another 4 years, millions of jobs will vanish overnight, and inflation will completely destroy our country. Your life savings will be wiped out, and with a Trump victory, we will once again have the greatest economy in history, MAGA 2024. And with that, I'll just ask the question, does anybody really believe any of the numbers that are being put out by the Biden and Harris administration over the years? I mean, it just seems like everything that they do is bad for the country. It's bad for Americans. Bad trade deals that allow our foreign competitors, our enemies, whatever you want to call it, to gain growth on us. And it's a sad state. And it's once again a reason why we should vote for Trump and Republicans down ticket. And with that, I would just say, don't just vote for Trump and Republicans down ticket so that Trump won't be handcuffed by Congress or the Senate. That go out there and vote early. As soon as the early polls open, go out there and submit that ballot. We don't want anything similar to what we just saw with CrowdStrike happening that affected the airports that might still be having some carryover effect even today, and that happened 2 or 3 weeks ago. I don't know, time's going really fast. Might even be longer, but we want to avoid any of those types of issues that could happen on Election Day. So get out there and vote early. And I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. And I'll see you guys in the next one.